The shooting for this film has finally started. It's been held up by Yu's school festival, procrastination, and most importantly, Tomoko's anxiety. Tomoko has grown up in a lot of aspects of her character, but some things never change, such as her self-doubt. If not for Yoshida last chapter, Tomoko wouldn't have had the confidence to go with the idea that she liked. Even in the current chapter, Tomoko decided to let Shizuku see the script first because she knew she'd gas her up no matter what. And side note, the face Tomoko made after being praised by Shizuku was the cutest shit ever. Of course the panel doesn't look too pretty, but the expression on Tomoko's face was precious. Back to it, Tomoko got the ball rolling for the film and gave everyone their scripts despite her post-writer embarrassment. As for the script itself, I don't know what the hell Tomoko is writing. It seems we're going the meta route by having Tomoko write a slice of life school story, being a character in a slice of life school series, but that's all I can gather. Although I did notice something about the script that may be a bit of a reach, but I'll say it anyways. In the first scene of the film, there are 4 characters that gather in a club room. One character is listening to music, another is reading, another one is playing a game, and the last one just walks in. Well, in chapter 26, this similar scenario has been painted in Tomoko's mind. Tomoko in that chapter was imagining what it would be like to start her own club, and in her vision, she too had 4 characters in a club room. One listening to music, another reading, another playing a game, and the last one, which is herself, walking in. I've always given Nico Tanigawa major credit for the callbacks they make, but admittedly, this specific setup is pretty generic, so it may or may not be a reference to chapter 26. You be the judge. Moving along, we have our official participants in this film, and I say official because it's only a matter of time before Uchi assimilates herself into the festivities. Introducing our cast, we have a team of 7. Hikari Ito, Mako Tanaka, Kotomi Komiyama, Asuka Kato, Shizuku Hirasawa, Hina Nemoto, and last and probably least, Yuri Tamura. I'll be going through each character individually, starting with the ones that left little impact to this chapter. Ito was just there on her Samurai Jack shit. In the 11 panel she was in, and yes, I counted, she did not utter a single word. All we got from Ito was a thought bubble that she shared with Nemo, her giving Komiyama water, and her clapping after the Asuka and Shizuku scene. I would imagine that since Tomoko doesn't have a strong connection with Ito, she probably volunteered to help after Komiyama was in. It's safe to say those two are best friends, so Ito is just going to be where Komiyama is more often than not. Now, Mako. Like always, Mako was doing her best in a support role, this time to Yuri. As Yuri noticed, Mako was enthusiastic about helping her, and there's 2 reasons for this in my eyes. For one, Yuri's character is based on Mako. It's not hard to imagine that Mako would have a personal stake in Yuri's acting if she views her character as an extension of herself. The second reason, which I think Mako leans more towards, is her desire to see Yuri prevail in trying something new. In chapter 159, we see an exchange of text between Mako and Yoshida in which Mako gets mad at Yoshida for not taking her future seriously. In chapter 173, the pattern of Mako probing Yoshida about her future repeats itself, this time in person. The takeaway from those 2 examples is that Mako is genuinely a good person that cares about her friend's success, sometimes more than they do themselves. No doubt in my mind that Mako wants to see Yuri excel in her role to the fullest, especially since it's something challenging for Yuri. Therefore, Mako is fired up to assist her in any way. Komiyama was a surprise talent in her acting role. We could partially attribute that to her great memory as her bottomless knowledge on baseball with a test, but the side that impressed me the most was her nonchalant attitude towards acting. Just as someone who sits at home and records herself talking about Japanese comics, I myself get anxious with the whole YouTube process. Even with friends or people that you know, getting camera shot is par for the course in acting, especially for novices. Komiyama though didn't exhibit any anxiety whatsoever. In fact, she seemed to be very confident in her ability. Whether this is because she's naturally good at acting or because Tomoko picked out the perfect role for her, I'm not sure, but either way, it's cool to see Komiyama have a moment to shine. Like Komiyama, but less surprising, Asuka was good in her role as well. It's suspected because Asuka is good at damn near everything except doing makeup on the not so glamorous gals. Really, the only shock is that Tomoko wanted Asuka to play a gloomy character. To me, it's not about the character's personality contrasting Asuka, it's about Tomoko not giving her a fan servicey role. Tomoko is a huge pervert that fancies Asuka in a sexual manner, and as we seen with Nemo just in this chapter, Tomoko isn't above using the film as an excuse to sexually harass girls. So again, I thought Tomoko would see this as a golden opportunity to make Asuka do something a little scandalous. Although admittedly, Tomoko sometimes gets overwhelmed by Asuka to the point of not taking a chance of sexually harassing her in the way she does with Yuri, and Nemo. Besides that, Asuka is taking the film very seriously. She's taking care of the makeup, the costumes, and even styled her hair to get in the character of Tomoko. Maybe this will lead to a creepy method acting scene a la Jared Leto, who knows, but one thing's for certain, it will be funny. Shizuku. I feel conflicted for Shizuku. The good part is that she gets to be included in her school festival, even if it's not with her class, an honor Tomoko is giving her that she didn't try to take herself, and Shizuku obviously appreciates it. Check every panel she's in with the exception of her acting, and you'll see a very jovial first year, but therein lies the conflict for me. Shizuku is a first year, and while she gets to enjoy the festival with Tomoko this year, I'm thinking about what happens next year. Shizuku's situation hasn't gotten any better. All of her female classmates still hate her, and this problem is highlighted by her over-reliance on Tomoko. It's not exactly normal for Shizuku to keep track of how many times she's met up with Tomoko. It reminds me of chapter 41 when Tomoko in her second year did a point system that rewarded her on social interactions. Granted, Tomoko's situation was a lot more pathetic, but Shizuku and Tomoko are still similar in their solitude. I'm sad for Shizuku because everyone she's talking to and forming bonds with will be gone next year. However, this gives Tomoko an opportunity as Shizuku's senpai to do something that even Megami couldn't do for her. Fixing her long-term loneliness. We all loved the bear hug scene, it was a beautiful moment, but it was only a band-aid for Tomoko. Think about how great it would be if Tomoko could leave a permanent mark in her last year by giving Shizuku the tools to survive her second year. That would be a great send-off to both characters as they transition to the next phase of their lives. And if Tomoko doesn't help, maybe Asuka can, since there seems to be a connection between her and Shizuku in this chapter. Just a small thing I noticed. Nemo was the only person playing herself, or maybe a caricature of herself, but it still wasn't as easy as one might have thought. First, the less serious parts. As I thought, Tomoko is using Nemo's voice acting aspirations to her advantage in more ways than one. For a scene that was supposed to be optional, Tomoko was a little too gung-ho about wanting Tomoko to make an accurate oral sound. But I can imagine what use Tomoko would have for footage like that. This gag has been a recent running joke, which is Tomoko acting as a sleazy director and Nemo acting as the naive but eager actress. It actually started in chapter 190, I believe, when we had the casting couch joke. Switching gears, at the end of the chapter, we see Nemo listening in on some type of hentai, presumably to improve her oral acting skills. And as odd as this sounds, that was my favorite part of this chapter. Tomoko has unique relationships with everyone, and some are emphasized by competition. Competition with Komiyama was about who had more social interactions. Competition with Fuka was about who had the most sexual experience. Competition with Nemo, though, has been about shedding the normie title. Prime example is chapter 122. Here Tomoko is starting her third year and the class has to give introductions. Tomoko was ashamed about her botched introductions in previous years, so she settled for doing something normal until Nemo expressed her disappointment. Seeing that, Tomoko went back to her vintage self and gave an awkward but memorable introduction. This in turn gave Nemo the courage to come out in the open and announce her dream to become a voice actress in her introduction, a move that Nemo believed would remove her normie status for good and could even lose her friends. I bring all of this up to explain Nemo's actions at the end of the chapter. Why is Nemo studying hentai even though she's not into that type of stuff? The role she needed for isn't even vital to the film. Well, the answer lies in her competition with Tomoko. Nemo is that determined to prove herself to Tomoko that she'd go to these lengths. It's an aspect of Nemo's character that I really enjoy, which is why I could talk this long about one single panel of the chapter. Yuri's smile would probably be my runner-up favorite moment. Nico Tanigawa has been on a mission to make Yuri more expressive, it seems, and if we get panels like this, I'm all for it. As far as Yuri's acting, I didn't expect her to take it seriously. She was making simple mistakes, but she was willing to listen and adjust, even doing smile training sessions with Mako over video call. Apparently, Yuri's acting is good because she has a certain aura or presence. Honestly, I wasn't seeing what Tomoko saw, but I guess we had to take her word for it. The important thing is Tomoko's friends are all putting their best foot forward to make the film a success, and I think we can all appreciate the effort. Mentioning the minor parts of the chapter, Uchi was hanging out with all of her friends from her class. Good to see she's maintaining good relations with her original friend group, because most times we see Uchi, she's with class 3-5. Nori and Maki, at least I believe this is Maki, are friends again. Where they left off after Sachi broke up the group was ambiguous up until now, but the Faceless Gals are a pair. I do wonder how or if their relationship changed. The mean girls broke up ironically because of what linked them together, the bad-mouthing, which everyone was guilty of. So did Maki forgive Nori for the things she said about her boyfriend? I would assume as much, but the real question is if they still shit talk other people. I guess we won't know the answer to that question, but if we were to take Minami and Sachi's relationship as evidence, then the answer would be yes. So, Sachi in this chapter. I like that Nico Tanigawa is taking away some of her cool factor. Sachi, since her face reveal, has had this mysterious mystique about her. It has a lot to do with her character design, as what Minami would call it, her doll-like face matches her plastic veiled personality. Nobody really knows Sachi, not even Minami. She does a great job at hiding her true thoughts with a face that sits like a mask and lies she tells as natural as breathing. However, recently, we've been seeing thought bubbles for Sachi and her put in situations where she doesn't appear to be as ominous. In this chapter, she falls out of a teacup. In the previous chapter, she thanks Minami for hanging out with her. And in the chapter before that, she sings happy birthday to Minami. It's odd because I think the dark aura around Sachi is what made her magnetic, but Nico Tanigawa has progressively made her feel more vulnerable, which is a testament to the excellent characterization of WataMote's cast. Sachi fantasizing about Minami doing manual labor for her comes off as weird. She even says she doesn't care about the teacups, so it's just about her wish to have Minami slave for her, which I guess I'm supposed to take as she's sadistic, but even in that line of thinking, it feels gay. You're gay! You would think that Sachi would be fantasizing about Tomoko pushing her or something, but instead, she wants to see Minami drenched in sweat. Gay. You're gay! But that's probably just my Sachi x Minami shipping brain talking, so pay that no mind. Now, bringing up Sachi's friction with Futaki, it tells us something about her. Sachi says verbatim, she doesn't read the room or match up with others. I hate girls who don't live like girls should. Putting on a face for mutual benefit and spouting insults to match with others, even if you don't want to say them, is what girls, nay, humans are all about, right? Simply put, Sachi believes that people should conform. Someone like Futaki, someone like Yuri, someone like Yoshida are people that move to the beat of their own drum. Since they are self-sufficient, they don't have to match anyone's wavelength, which is off-putting to Sachi, but the question is, why? I think it might be a combination of two things. One, Sachi does not like buzzkillers. Sachi puts having fun above all else, proven by her being friends with Maki and Nori as long as she did, despite not liking them. Independent thinking people threaten Sachi's fun the most. This is why Sachi can get along with Mako. Although Sachi feels like she can't badmouth people around her, Mako is an easygoing person and in a way enables Sachi and Minami's bad behavior. Futaki, on the other hand, at least as Sachi sees her, isn't one to go along with the flow. Futaki does her own thing, so she's less willing to fall to groupthink, which hurts the mood for everyone in the mind of Sachi. 2. I think Sachi is insecure with revealing her true self. This idea falls in line with the theme of Sachi's appearance. Minami has said Sachi has a face like a mask, and seemingly to follow that remark, Sachi wears different faces around people. In this chapter, Sachi keeps thinking to herself, I fucking hate Futaki, but she remains to be cordial with her. In a world where everyone wears a mask, Sachi doesn't have to drop hers, but around people who don't wear a mask, like Futaki, I think Sachi feels pressure to discard her own. Only around Minami does Sachi somewhat show her real self. Her real self is similar to Minami in their nasty personalities, but unlike Minami, Sachi is fully aware of how she would be perceived by others. Despite the aloof image Sachi gives off, she seems to be afraid of alienating everyone with her true personality, thus she acts fake. A good example of this is in chapter 200.2. Here Sachi is all alone until Minami visits her in her classroom. Sachi throughout their conversation throws small verbal jabs at Minami, and when she doesn't bicker back, Sachi becomes a little panicked because she realizes her one-sided banter makes her look like the bad guy. She's also very conscientious about how others that can hear her and Minami talking would take their conversation. What this is supposed to prove is that Sachi is very self-conscious, so much so she'll wear a mask at all times just to save face. In a way I never thought of until now, you could relate Sachi to Nemo. It was only a year ago that Nemo was hiding her otaku side from all of her friends. Nemo was so afraid of revealing that side of herself, she even believed that she'd lose friends after voicing her dream of becoming a voice actress. However, the one person Nemo was honest around was Tomoko. In the same vein, Sachi isn't totally honest about herself and wears a mask, but the one person she bears her true face to is Minami. It's not exactly a theme unique to a set of characters, but still, I find this idea interesting, so I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. As for Futaki, she remains to be the most mentally tough character in the series. Futaki can't be shaken by insults, pressure, or confrontation. No matter what you throw at her, all you'll receive back is this emoji ass expression staring back at you. She's a legend, also really fucking strong. Keep in mind, 2 boys were sweating their ass off, about to keel over, pushing 3 girls on a teacup. Futaki was working solo dolo, pushing 2 girls on the teacup, and one of them, according to Sachi, is a fat ass. Yet and still, Futaki did it with no trouble. In fact, she broke the damn thing for going too hard. I don't really have that much to say about Minami, but I did find it intriguing that she called out to Futaki. Since Minami is childlike in her impulsive behavior, her calling out to Futaki, even though Sachi explicitly told her not to, was done out of genuine happiness to see her. Those two have a blossoming relationship, and you wouldn't expect that considering their contrasting personalities. I think on Minami's side at least, Futaki is a refreshing person to be around because even if she encourages it, she can get tired of the toxic talk she and Sachi partake in. One more thing I failed to mention is that when it comes to Sachi, I feel like what lies at the root of her character is jealousy. If you see her interactions with Minami, a lot of the time she's actually admiring some of the qualities she actually dislikes in others, and that quality I'm speaking of is the ability to say what's on your mind without reservations, without thinking about the ramifications of what you're going to say. If you see Sachi, she's calculated, she's very careful with what she says, she's always thinking about how her words will be perceived by others and whatnot. I actually feel like she doesn't want to think about that stuff, but she is very self-conscious, so she admires someone like Minami for being able to say whatever that pops up in her mind, and she'll just let things loose like that. So yeah, that's one thing I forgot about Sachi. Other than that, guys, when it comes to the schedule of these videos, I'm still trying to get something concrete down, but how I've been doing things so far is I just look at the chapter and see if it's worthy to talk about, and I just go from there, and I just talk about how many ever chapters that I missed or so forth. So it's probably still going to be like that, but at the same time, I'm not editing the videos fast enough, I'm not recording fast enough, so I'm going to try to get better with that. So hopefully if I do deem a chapter worthy to talk about, I get that video out next week. So say the chapter comes out Wednesday. I want to have that video out next Wednesday before the other chapter comes out, okay? That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm aiming for. We'll try our best, all right? Very much appreciate anybody who stuck around this long. I know this was a longer one, but I felt like I had a lot to talk about this time around. So again, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share the video to anybody, you know what I'm saying? Spread the word. Spread the word. I'm the only person to talk about WataMote, at least the manga, all right? Spread the word, all right? It's your boy Satsuki the Savage, and I'm out.
Tasting your soul, you're not in control, just giving you goals. Scared of your past, the future is close. The start is the end is a start. They both are the same, can't tell them apart. Nigga, that's cuz the intro was the outro.